How are you guys?
Very good. How are you?
Good. Sagar, theek hai?
Majid.
Great. So, Genelia, my first question is for you.
Yes.
It's $1 million question. Did Ritesh share the load during the lockdown?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah. No. He did. He did.
He did.
Yeah.
How did that feel? Was it good? Fun?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's not only about the lockdown. I just feel that it's because we've known each other for a very long time, and from our first film, it's almost 20 years, 10 years of marriage. So throughout our journey, we've always looked at each other as equals in terms of opinions, in terms of respecting each other's spaces, freedoms, and opinions. So even post-marriage, whenever we did things, we've tried. It was never like this is your job or I'm not supposed to do this.
Right.
As a man and a woman, more than anything else, I think so. During lockdown, of course, we got to spend time in a way that we didn't have to go out. We had to stay in house for almost 6 to 8 months to a year. And at that time, it was fun to do things together.
Yeah, it was nice to spend that time together as well.
Yeah.
Of course. Dr. Nandita, do you see some social change happening post the lockdown? Have men gone back to their usual routine and, things have gone back to normal in a sense?
I must admit that when the lockdown happened, you suddenly saw so many men putting their photographs up on cooking and cleaning and even with broom in their hand. And I think what really changed was that the shame of doing this work was something that we questioned and men were okay about it. But suddenly, post-lockdown, I think we're kind of going back to normal. And that is a question that we really think that a conversation like this brings back. Why do we have to go back? Why can't we go one step forward? And that is what I think the question of normalizing this whole conversation and what you raised, saying, why are we not teaching our sons what we teach our daughter? So when a guest comes, we'll tell our 8-year-old daughter, beta, pani le jao, but we never tell our son. And then, he builds in himself an understanding that this is not what I'm supposed to do. So even when he is doing something, he's helping. It's not his responsibility. And that's what the conversation
is all about.
That really is what we have to change.
Right. Ritesh, why do you think it is that men shy away from partaking in equal responsibility at home?
I think deep down, like ma'am said, it's important at early age to teach, boys how they see their mothers. It's important as parents that you show your children that mother and father are equals. Only then will they learn how to treat their wives or sisters. And it's important. I think for a very long time, being in a society that we are, and I'm not talking about long time, I'm talking about, say, thousands and 500 and hundreds of years ago, we've always seen men go out, strive to do more, and women are at home. But now women are doing today what men did forever, and they are probably doing it better than men. And it's important to respect that space, it's important to respect that choice. And I understand when ma'am says that, why don't we teach our boys what we teach our girls? And I think that today's generation or the next generation, that when I see my children, of course, that's what I mean by next generation. When they see that, okay, this is how I'm not saying my father treated my mother, but I'm saying that this is how my father and mother treated each other. That is important, and that's what they should learn. And I'm sure that we as parents need to set an example for them to take this ahead. And that's how it will begin at each. See, instead of telling others what to do, you practice at your home.
Yeah.
You set an example at home. And if everyone does that in their own houses, I think we'll have a better country and a better world.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Genelia, do you see this change in the passing, things are getting
Yeah, I
better?
definitely see it, but I also see that there's a long way to, go as well in many households. I mean, I'm one of the fortunate households where we both share, and there's a inherent understanding that if you're working, I'll take over. If I'm working, I'll take. It's just an understanding that doesn't have to be pronounced, but it's done. It's done at every level. But I do see it very often with my friends, and where it's like, but I can't do that. I'm tired. I mean, like I always say, being a housewife is very often taken for granted, because it's considered as a no job. Whereas in my opinion, it's the toughest
biggest job.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's a 24-hour job.
It's a
You never have time off.
24-hour job, and no appreciation, nothing to it. So very often that space is misunderstood. You know what I'm saying? Like probably a man at the house who's working will come back and say, "But I've worked the whole day."
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I didn't.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow, what a lovely insight. Thank you so much. C equal to share the load. Genelia, I can see that you really liked, being a part of a partnership, and you, Ritesh, as well. So it's really lovely for you guys to see each other working together so hard on this and sending out this message, because it's really, really important. Okay, on that note, we have the new film on Share the Load, which will possibly give us some insight as to why we are not seeing more men take up equal responsibility of household chores to date. C equal to Share the Load. Genelia, I can see by the look on your face that you really like this one. And I want to get your thoughts on it as well, Dr. Nandita, but before I come to the two of you, being the man on stage, I want to ask Ritesh his perspective on the film.
I saw the film earlier today, and so much of it is so true that men, when you're living in hostels, you have roommates, you're fine doing the daily chores together. Someone is cleaning, someone is cooking, guests come over, and I have been part of this. I have lived for 2 years in a hostel. I was living in America with a dear friend of mine for over a year and sharing an apartment. And this is the life that we had. And I'm absolutely, I identify with two boys being together and, sharing the stuff. But when I saw the film, it was about a wife and the husband, where, many a times you see that the husband's time is more important. He's a decision maker, and he says, it's okay, we'll manage. He says we'll manage, but eventually the wife or the homemaker has to manage everything. And the simple thing is taken for granted. That's the bottom of it. The moment in a relationship, you don't take the other person for granted, everything is okay. And the first thing when you take for granted is the fact that you are not an equal. You feel you're superior, so you are taking the other person for granted. And that's where it goes down.
Yeah, that's so true. And look, and in fact, what I took away from the film was how real it felt. It didn't look like there were actors playing the part. And that's what the beauty of it was, actually. I mean, this is how actual conversations between husband and wife take place. Yeah, I mean, I can see Genelia nodding her head,
Hi, excuse me. We can't see Genelia. I mean, can anyone in the audience spot her? What's happening?
No?
She there? So Genelia.
That's pretty much how it is, right? Women almost become invisible.
Yeah, well, round of applause. Yes, got the point of that. So what a way for everyone here to kind of realize the emotion of women who are not seen as equals. I welcome everyone to the first ever press con with invisible guests, because it's only when you see someone as equal that you're actually seeing them at all. I wanted to come to you, Dr. Nandita. Akshara is known to be an ally in fighting gender biases at all levels, whether it's home, the workplace, etc. What do you have to say about the film?
When I saw the film, it was really powerful. And we have been associated with Share the Load from the beginning for last 5 years. And I think this conversation that Share the Load has started has had a huge impact. And we worked even taking this to colleges and the concept of why is it that we can't share the load. So I found the film very powerful. And I think it's need of the hour, and men have to start seeing women as equal. But equally important, women have to see ourselves as equal and assert us as equal. And I think somewhere that also is the point that's made, and that's the realization that the person who is asking the question, you know, what's happening, why am I not being seen as equal? And I think that is a challenge that we need to really take up today. How do we make this conversation? And the film has just initiated woman as the person who's asking the question. And I think that if each one of us can ask, and if men can realize this, we can really see the change that this conversation will bring. Right. And we want to bring this conversation to every living room and every place, that why is it that we are not able to see this? And what, as Ritesh said, that why are we not able to see each other and take each other for granted? So, you know, and we constantly keep raising this question. You know, men help in the house. I mean, no doubt that they come in and whenever they feel, but we are not talking about help. We are talking about responsibility. You know, if sugar is not there, he will be happy to say that I'll go get the sugar. But I want somebody to also say that, look at it and say sugar is not there. And I think that's the kind of responsibility we are talking about sharing. And I think that conversation is what we need to have today.
Lovely. Genelia, what are your thoughts on the film?
No, I pretty much agree with Dr. Nandita. I think it's true that very often we don't realize it at home. I'm even talking in the best case scenario where, you know, the man in the house doesn't really realize that he's taking so much for granted. And like she said, it's very important for the women to also bring it forward that, you know, today I'm tired, can you take on the responsibility for the day? Or you know, but very often as women, even if you're tired, or even if you're not having a great day, or even if you want to do something other than that, you'll say, no, I'll do this. And then it starts catching up, and then, you know, you aid it not being equal very often, I feel. So yeah, it's very important as women that you stand up and you say that, you know, let's do this equally. And I'm sure, like I say, very often it's important to say that you need to do certain things. Like I remember when Ritesh and me were, you know, this whole distant education which had driven all mums crazy, like, you know, because it was like doing the teacher's work at home, and it was tough. And they were like, I would do it 5 times a week, and I would get tired by the end of it. And I didn't even know why I was getting tired, you know, because I said, I'm at home and, you know, it's fine. And one day I just told him, I said, you know, I think I'm tired. Or can you take up one day? And he was like, yeah, sure. You know, the point of it is that I just thought that I could do it, which I couldn't. But when I told him, can you know, just take up this one day, he was more than willing to do it, you know. So sometimes it's a matter of communication, sometimes it's a matter of realization, and sometimes it's important that even if you don't realize it and someone brings it to your notice, to figure it out towards the end. Yeah.
Of course, very well said. Now, we saw this year, the Insight Share the Load talks about is that if men were able to split the responsibility of household chores with others, then why not with their wives? It may be because they don't see women as equals, and this results in a disproportionate weight of chores on women.